Hello everyone, welcome back on today's episode of The Football Story. Yes, that's right, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest topics in world football at the minute. Manchester City's charges for breaking Premier League regulations. Manchester City and Pep Guardiola deny all of the allegations made, but we're going to be looking at why this happened, how this happened, and what this means for the rest of the league. So we'll give them a chance to talk.
Let me talk! Let me talk! Let me talk!
So as of right now, the charges the Premier League have made have been put forward to an independent panel. And we're just going to look at the charges first to get an understanding of what's been said. So firstly, they've been charged 30 times for breaches of Premier League rules in assisting Premier League investigations. And what this means is they've basically deterred or stopped the Premier League from being able to investigate what they need to investigate. There's 25 charges around profitability and sustainability, which is basically around the revenue that they're generating as a Premier League club. There's 8 alleged charges in manager remuneration, and basically what this means is that they're paying managers different sums of money, and this is specifically designated towards Roberto Mancini's time at the club. And then finally around accuracy of financial information. So basically what it means is the money that they're receiving is not accurately being presented to the Premier League. So then if we look at Deloitte's Money League for 2022, we see something very interesting. So Manchester City are top of revenue for all teams in the world, beating out teams like Real Madrid, Liverpool, Manchester United, Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Chelsea, Tottenham and Arsenal. Manchester City are putting in huge amounts of revenue, and for a team that is relatively new, relatively starting out in terms of their history, it is very surprising to see something like this. And this is why a lot of people would say, how can a team like Manchester City generate so much revenue when they have such a small fan base? Their global reach isn't as big as some of the other teams that are in this list, like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, Manchester United. These teams have huge pull around the globe, and for Manchester City to be beating them in revenue, it screams something's not right. So now I'm just going to talk about some points that I've been able to find based on Manchester City's revenue and where they've come from in such a short period of time. So to understand City's financial explosion, we must look back at the purchase in 2008-2009 season. That season, City had a commercial income of 21.1 million euros, and since then those earnings have grown by 563%. 563%. That is a huge amount of growth in that time. If you look at some of the way the sponsorship deals, and this is why the Premier League are investigating them, you can see here. So City currently have commercial agreements either globally, regionally, with 52 companies. Of these 52 companies, 8 are closely linked to the UAE government. In other words, a significant part of City sponsorship comes from companies that belong to the same owners as the club itself. Let's say, for example, Liverpool have a deal with Standard Chartered. Say if the owners own Standard Chartered, they could basically say, okay, we're going to give you 300 million over 3 years, 100 million a year. They don't need to see any return on that investment, which is what most business deals do, especially with sponsorships. What Manchester City can do is they can say they'll give this money to the team, pump it back into the club, and they can have all these deals of different revenue sources, which is one of the reasons why they're so high in revenue at the minute. So if you take a look at the image on the screen now, we can see the amount of money that's been pumped in because of the revenue that Man City have been able to generate. So since 2008, since they've been bought, they've spent 1,438 million on players, which is far and away more than anyone else. They've brought in players like Silva, Aguero, Yaya Toure, De Bruyne, Haaland, all on huge amount of money. It's almost 500 million more than Manchester United, who are in second. No team can generate this huge amount of revenue in such a short space of time. Not even Manchester United, a global team, one of the biggest teams in the world, are able to generate the same amount of revenue in that time. This is why the Premier League are being so critical, and one of the reasons why they're in a lot of trouble for what they're doing. So as of right now, City have been referred to an independent panel for review, and the allegations that have been made, City obviously deny, and so does Pep Guardiola.
More than you believe.
So for me, I don't think Manchester City are going to be punished harsh enough. I think they'll probably get away with a points deduction, maybe a fine included in that as well. A points deduction to a team who are able to achieve 90 odd points every season isn't going to have a big impact on them. There has to be something more serious, because if you look at what can happen with the other investments that are coming in for other clubs like Manchester City and Liverpool, there's huge implications of what this result will show to those potential investors. If the Premier League put their foot down and say, we're not going to stand for anything that happens in these situations, then it'll set a precedent for all the other teams. However, I don't think Manchester City should have any of the trophies that they won in this time taken away from them. I think these trophies would be cherished by fans, and I think there's a lot of moments in the Premier League that shouldn't be taken away because of the situation that Manchester City owners have put themselves in. If they do get relegated, the true fans that love the club are going to stick by them thick and thin, but the Premier League does need to set a precedent. So now the $1 million question: should we penalise Manchester City for their future achievements or their previous achievements? In my opinion, I think we have to punish them for their future achievements, not for what they've done in the past. Manchester City, for even the problems that they've caused, they've had some iconic moments. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But that's it for me today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll be back to you next week with another video. Cheers guys.